Great, thank you both for your insights. Next question will be for all four of you, and we'll start with Brian. If you could, give us a brief overview of your job duties from a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, and also help us understand maybe some of the challenges and rewards that come with the work that you do.
Okay, so I'll start off a little bit about where I work. It's a day treatment program, a mental health program for kids ages 12 to 18. However, this is a unique program. A day treatment program, basically how they're set up is for adolescents, school in the morning, and counseling programs and services, groups, and individual counseling in the afternoon. It's a full day program. And these children have to have what's considered a valid Axis 1 mental health diagnosis. So unique about my program that I work at, it's a probation department program. So these kids are court ordered by the probation department to be there. Not attending or not complying with the rules of the program is considered a violation, and they return to court and face a consequence. So I work with an agency that subcontracts the counseling therapists to this program to work alongside the probation officers and the teachers in the program. My job specifically is called clinical coordinator. Basically, it's overseeing the counseling services in the program. The program manager in this program is a probation officer. Typically, it's a social worker, it's an MFT, it's a psychologist in a typical day treatment setting. This is unique, so the county contracts to have my position there to really to take the part that she's not able to do of the management of the counseling services. So a day for me, I do all of the intakes, the mental health assessments of the kids that come through the program. And we do quite a bit because unfortunately there's a lot of turnover in the program. Kids unfortunately just might not be ready for the program. They may need a higher level of care. This is kind of a step down from residential. So we have a lot of turnaround, and so I do quite a bit of mental health assessments a week. I can do up to 5 a week. And it's a lengthy process if you know anything about Medi-Cal these days. And so it's a lot of paperwork. So I do a lot of, and then the rest of my job, so let's say that I have some days 2 intakes a week. And then other days I'm running the clinical treatment meetings, interdisciplinary clinical team meetings where we have school, probation, and counseling, drug and alcohol, and psychiatry involved, and so I'm running that. That's done once a week, and that pretty much takes up my whole day. And then there's some clinical supervision that I do for people who are getting their hours for MFT or LCSW, so doing some clinical supervision. And then the rest of the time, it's the support of the counselors, support for the probation staff for the mental health issues, giving my feedback and feedback and I'm not sure the other word, I guess, but helping with the clinical issues. And then from there, it's a whole lot of paperwork to be done. So it's a lot of auditing files and making sure T's are crossed and I's are dotted and so forth, and making sure we're in audit compliance with the county and Medi-Cal and the state. And it's kind of just a lot of paperwork, I guess, is really what it comes down to. So that's kind of my typical day. So I don't interact a whole lot with the kids aside from the initial interview at the beginning when they come into the program.
So just a quick follow-up. It sounds like paperwork. I don't know. Some people might enjoy paperwork. I would not be one of them. But what would you say would be maybe a key reward from what you do, and maybe the biggest challenge that you face?
The challenge is is getting stuck in the paperwork and not being able to interact with the kids as much. And the upside is that I do get to be there to see some really some cases of kids who really are able to turn things around. These are kids they call like level 2 probation. They're usually on a higher intensity of supervision, and so to see some kids come through and actually make some change, come through our program 6 to 8 to 9 months, sometimes a year, and to see them go off to a regular school, get off probation, and know that our program had something to do with that. That's the reward, really.
Great, thank you. Lisa?
I just wanted to start with something. I don't know if you're going to ask it because
Sure.
It seemed like you were asking the other two. It's just in terms of what's important to know about if you decide you want to get a master's degree in art therapy.
Sure.
Can I
Absolutely
add that in there? Because one of the things, like I said, I came to it from more of an art background. I had psychology in my background and was interested in it. People come both from, say, psychology majors, they also come from art majors. The requirements are such that you have to have both. You have to have a mix. And so if you're going to look into it, I have a yellow flyer over there that has the information from what's called the American Art Therapy Association, and you can find out exactly what you need there, because I ended up starting my master's degree and having to go back and taking some classes. Oddly enough, even with my MFA, I had to go back and take a sculpture class because they said I didn't have anything that said sculpture of all my years of being an artist. So you want to, if you're interested, you want to be aware that there's that mix, and there's the different kinds of requirements. Some people major in one and minor in the other, but there's opportunities to make it up. So I just wanted to make that clear. So the other question was
Just like your day-to-day life and
well,
the good and the bad.
the way that I've set up my life is the way that I've been looking at this recently, actually kind of at a reevaluation stage in my life, that as I think I've done always, is that since I have my own business and I have that freedom in a sense, as well as the responsibility, because there's a tremendous amount of responsibility when you decide to go into business for yourself. Like I had said, I've worked at a number of agencies, but it's a very different kind of situation. So when I get asked what I do on a typical day, there is no such thing as a typical day for me, because I might be working in my office, I run groups at different facilities and different places. As was noted, I both coordinate and teach at the at UCSD Extensions program, and so I might be preparing for a class. I teach on Saturdays. So for my world, it's very changeable, but I set it up that way. Some people, and this is once again, I think it was a very good point about both making a decision about what you want to do, but making these kinds of decisions about what you want to do within that career is, who are you? When I have tried, I don't think I've ever actually truly had a 9-to-5 job, but when I've tried anything close to it, usually it's also more than that. I've done stints as a paralegal and things like that to support my my graduate school habit. That to really look at what your temperament is, and are you capable of that? Because one of the things that I find both as being a therapist and art therapist is having that kind of sense of flexibility, which I have. Some people really need to show up and have the job and know what's going to happen and know exactly what your paycheck is going to be and all those kinds of things, and that's great. It's just that mine tends to be variable. The downside of that is that I may not know what's going to happen by the end of the month, or things change.
Will not know.
Right. Yes. Thank you. Will not know. And people drop out of therapy, or they decide not to come anymore, or I get new people. I mean, it really changes. So that sometimes the flexibility part gets really stretched. The other part is having a sense of humor. I think that's one of the most important things about being a therapist of any kind, is having a sense of humor. And but the upside of it is when, like just the other day, I saw someone who had a very challenging diagnosis, and she and her mother had a huge fight right before they came into a session, and it was very, very challenging to work with this girl, and then with her mother coming in at the end. And I rode away from that session feeling like, my gosh, I really feel like I did something to bridge a gap between two people, that when she walked into my office, I thought, how do I bridge this gap? And once again, for me, it's using the art, because I have the therapeutic skills in the background and was taught the traditional things, as well as using the art and being able to have that as a tool to work with. Sometimes when people won't talk to me, or they're upset or something like that, if they can draw something, if they can make something. We worked with poems and rhyming, and because she's a teenager, and a lot of teenagers, that's what they like to do, that when I come away from something like that, I feel really great. Or I work with people with Alzheimer's and dementia. A lot of people think, well, that's probably not a lot of fun. I love working with them. They don't know my name. I've been working with them for years. I walk in, they say to me completely seriously, I've never seen you before and I've never been in this class before. I've been seeing them for years. So once again, talk about the flexibility and sense of humor, and I use a lot of that in doing that kind of work. And what ends up happening is I have people saying, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't make art, I can't make art, over and over and over again. And lo and behold, they make something. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be realistic, that's not what art therapy is about. But a lot of times they come up with something that they feel really good about. And that smile, that sense of accomplishment, that feeling that they have as they leave and they're smiling at me and telling me that I'm a nice person, even though, like I said, they wouldn't know my name for anything. That those are the kinds of things that make it worthwhile to do what I do and have that opportunity, because if I was in a different kind of job, I wouldn't have that opportunity and to work with the different people that I work with.
Thank you. Doctor?
I'll do a quick juxtaposition because last year I was working for Psychiatric Centers of San Diego, which is a large corporation and medical corporation. And my day was, you show up and you'd have a list of all your patients for the day. You'd grab your stack of charts and you'd go to the room you were assigned to. And every 45 minutes, with no break in between, boom, boom, you see people. And you have your lunch, and you come back, and every 45 minutes, you see people. And you're writing your notes, you're doing all your paperwork in that time, because if you don't get it done in that time, you don't get paid. When you're done seeing people, you're done. So any paperwork you do, you were on your own. So you got really good at doing all your paperwork while you saw people. The nice part is it pretty much a no-brainer. You just show up and you go to work and you get a paycheck. But the paycheck wasn't so big. And I was working pretty hard. And I didn't have a lot of say in 45 minutes is a really short time to really engage with somebody. And if it was a couple, you were lucky that it didn't go over, because people need that time to share what's going on. So now I'm in a very different situation. I've just opened a private practice. So my day is completely my own, with all the pluses and minuses of that. It's up to me to be responsible to make sure I have those patients coming in the first place. So what I've been doing every day is I make sure a portion of my day is how do I connect with therapists who are local in my area, let them know what I'm doing, connect with doctors, connect with programs to let them know what I'm doing. So I'm starting to expand a referral base so people can come and see me. Making sure I get on all the various insurance panels so that, let's say you need to see someone and you want help paying for it, you go to your computer and you type therapist in your area, my name's going to pop up. So there's the business side of what I do. But my initial appointment's an hour and a half. It's nice, right? Right? My 50-minute sessions are 50 to 60 minutes. I give people the time because that's my value. And I like that. I no longer see 12 people a day. I'll see 6 or 8, and that's a busy, busy day. But I love it because I can create my own day. I can do things like this. I can talk to people. So for me, I really appreciate it. Now, on one level, working for yourself, my pay is about 4 times what I was making before. But then you have to separate out all the things I wasn't paying for before, right? So you figure the 3, 3, and 3. 3, 30%, 33 and a third % of what I make goes straight to IRS. Just factor that in, right? Then 33 and a third % goes straight to all of the maintenance. You've got to pay rent, you've got to pay insurance, you've got to pay for board memberships, you've got to pay licenses, got to pay for the furniture you stuck in your office, the rent, right? So a third goes to expenses, and the third is what I get to keep. I'm still making more, and I like it. So that's the two.